We've seen the smartest, the strongest, the most feared characters. But all of them have this one thing in common. They lose and die in the end. Why? Not because they weren't powerful, but because they let one thing control them. Their ego. Do you remember Tony from the movie Scarface? He built an empire with nothing but grit, but his empire couldn't save him from his ego. He couldn't handle being disrespected. He shot first and thought later. And in the end, he died alone, surrounded by enemies his own ego created. Thanos, the so-called inevitable? His arrogance, his belief in being the only one who could save the universe, blinded him. And when you're blind, you never see the end coming. The Joker in The Dark Knight was chaos personified. But he thought he understood humanity. He thought he broke Batman, but his ego didn't let him see that even chaos has limits. And it cost him big time. Gus Fring in Breaking Bad was a ghost, untouchable. But his need to settle scores his way, to personally destroy Hector, made him predictable. And in that moment, he lost his face. Ego doesn't care how smart you are. It just wants to win the wrong battles. Even Walter White, Heisenberg himself, had chance after chance to walk away. But his pride whispered, one more move, one more empire, until he was left with nothing. And this isn't just about fiction and movies. The pages of history are filled with powerful leaders who tasted defeat the same way. Take the most ruthless dictator as an example, Hitler. Perhaps a military genius, but his ego told him he was unstoppable. He opened multiple war fronts, ignored warnings. He refused to retreat because of his ego. And he not only ended up killing himself, but destroying his own nation in the process. Here's another example. Napoleon was one of the brilliant military strategists. But in the battle against Russia, he let his ego control him. He thought he couldn't lose. He thought his enemies were running away. But the Russian army outsmarted him by taking him deeper into the Russia's harsh winter. Ego whispers, "You're above consequences." And that whisper? It's the start of the end. So here's the truth. Ego is the silent killer of greatness. It convinces you to fight when you should walk away. It makes you chase validation instead of victory. And the worst part? It disguises itself as confidence. But confidence listens, and ego wants to talk. Confidence leads, ego always demands. When you're winning, ego sneaks in. It'll tell you to take things personally. To flex when you should be focused. To prove a point when you should be silent. If you let ego drive your decisions, you're no longer in control. You're on autopilot. This will take you straight toward a cliff. So how to get rid of this secret enemy? 1. Stay hyper-aware in winning moments. Success makes you sloppy. Awareness keeps you sharp. 2. Never take anything personally. It's not about you, it's about the final outcome. 3. Detach emotion from decision-making. Lead with facts, execute with calm, and decide with clarity. 4. Expect resistance, even when you feel like the strongest. The moment you underestimate your opponent, you lose. 5. Let humility be your edge. The strongest person in the room is often the quietest. Always remember, power without control is chaos. Intelligence without humility is short-lived. If you want to win and keep winning, leave your ego at the door. Win over your ego to stay at the top of any games in your life.